Hey, morning. We're back on this F350 here that had the bad H-pop. So what we're gonna talk about a little bit today is the 6-liter turbochargers. Being that the turbo's out, it's always a good idea to service these things. It's really just a matter of taking the bang clamp off there and hammering this into the two pieces and seeing how hard this has seized itself together. So this is an 05, and you'll notice on these 05s that they have a flat surface here that the unison ring sits on top of. And in 06, 07, they kind of made like a little bit of a dish in there, right, to try and stop this from sticking. So this one was stuck together pretty bad. You know, you can see the, if this will focus, I don't know if it will, how it was really rubbing in on these veins here. And you can see, like, see that vein there? That vein's almost gone, right? And, you know, there's a nice thick one. So what we do is basically we just take all these guys off, and you can see how they've been kind of seizing in there too, eh? So we're gonna clean these up real good on the wire brush, and then we're gonna replace them with other ones that we've got on off of a core here. Right, we're just gonna put in a couple of other nice veins, put a real light coat of anti-seize on there, really clean up around there, make sure it seals well, and then that'll definitely improve the performance of the turbocharger and avoid a failure. You don't want to see one of those come off. Normally what I'll see is right on the VGT here, where this little slot sits, is I'll see that get really kind of bean shaped. This one's starting to, but it's really not all that bad. I think it'll be okay. Since we're kind of pressed for time, we're just going to clean this one up and put it together. It's really good practice to replace these oil coolers. If you're in there and you've got the intake off and you've had an EGR failure, or you know, even if it's just had an EGR on it for a long time, there's a good chance that it's left a bunch of junk inside that oil cooler. Another thing is getting a blue spring in. I'm pretty sure this one's had one, because I can see this housing is a different color than the rest. So I'm almost positive that that's got a spring in it. And the fuel pressure did seem good on this one. It was quite a bit over 50. So normally we would change that. So I'm just going to give you a quick little shot here of how we deal with the engine stuff. I haven't really started to clean this yet, but you can see normally what I like to do is push a little bit of air. I wonder if here we go. Through the, that's where that screen sits right there. This screen was actually in pretty good shape, but still I like to just kind of push it through where it comes out right there. And then I blow out those holes really well, because I don't want to get a false torque. And we're going to put a little bit of silicone on the corners at the split there, where the back cover meets the block. And I see a lot of guys just use the plug. I'm guilty of that sometimes too. If I'm in a rush or I'm just trying to get something going, I want to save money, these white pipes can be very difficult to get out. So you can get some kits that'll just put a plug in there. But the problem is once you remove that EGR, you're gonna remove the stability that this pipe has. And you can already see here, you know, just from me wiggling it to try, because I had a bolt that I couldn't get out. That's really hard to get at these bolts, and they strip and they seize. So I had to cut that one and kind of break it the rest of the way. It's tough to get in there with the cab on. And then what we want to do is we want to replace it with a solid piece of pipe. Because pretty much every time you put those little plugs in, you're going to run it for a month or two, or, you know, maybe it'll last a long time, maybe it won't, but you'll start getting leaks in that little bellows there. It's always a good idea to put the thermostat in. They're so cheap. You're this far. If you've got an EGR that's been in, this is a 300,000 kilometer truck. It's just naturally going to boil up your coolant, and it's going to cause problems there. So you always want to use factory Ford filters. Never use those crappy ones. I am guilty of saving some money on these Dorman oil cooler kits, but they seem to work really good. I haven't had any problems as long as you're real careful how you knock those off. You don't crack the housing. This is a remanufactured Ford H-pop. I've got the aftermarket ones, even from GB and like reputable aftermarket that supply you with Ford hardware to put it on, and had failures on them. So even on these '05 ones. So they're about $1,500, $1,200 to $1,500, depending where you're getting them and what your discount is. But that is definitely the way to go. Is just get the factory Ford parts, whenever you can. In fact, that thermostat, I think that was only like $30. So, why not put one in at this point? If it doesn't look all shiny, it doesn't stand out from the rest of the engine, just put a new thermostat on. Definitely, if you're going to delete the EGR system, don't use the plug. Put that pipe on. And, that oil cooler kit from Ford, it's a little over $1,000. And like I said, I haven't had troubles with these. I have used other Chinese ones and seen other Chinese ones that'll give you a hard time and leak afterwards, or whatever the case is, deteriorate over time. Another thing with these EGR kits, I generally won't put this block plate on. I'll just leave the EGR valve in, because it's just a plug anyways. And then it kind of gives the engine that factory look, just in case a nosy environmental officer or someone decides to pick on you. They won't really notice it unless they really stick their face in to see that reroute pipe, which is really buried in there anyways. And to be honest, I don't really think that this EGR system really helps at all in reducing emissions. If anything, it just destroys the engine and causes more problems in the end that way. So that's what we're gonna do on this one to further the reliability. Instead of just replacing the pump and putting it back on the road, it's rather than put that EGR back on, we're gonna just tidy up a few things here, and this thing should run mint.